I tell you that other one time was the time. You got it already.
Hello, welcome to Rumbii. I'm your host, Rumbii. Today is my coffee day. I only drink coffee 1 day a week now. I used to drink it every day. And a few months ago, my therapist brought it to my attention that my coffee consumption was affecting my anxiety. And so, for that reason, I had to reduce the amount of coffee that I was drinking. It's like, of course, I don't know why I never thought about it before. That coffee is literally a stimulant. It's going to stimulate whatever basal activity you have, it's going to elevate it. And so I went cold turkey immediately after having that discussion. I went cold turkey. I stopped drinking coffee altogether. I didn't like drinking decaf because it doesn't hit the same. I feel like part of the daily consumption of coffee was also the addiction to the caffeine, you know? I feel like a lot of us are addicted to caffeine, whether it's in the form of coffee or other beverages. And so I completely stopped drinking coffee. And as you know, I'm currently on this healthy kick. I'm trying. Oh, actually, I don't want to call it a kick because I feel like that makes it seem like it's temporary. I'm trying to create healthy changes pertaining to my eating habits. And so after going about 6 months without drinking coffee, I caved. I caved. And I think I came to a realistic compromise which my dietitian actually helped me reach. And that is, I don't need to stop myself from enjoying the things that I like. And that's something that she really, really wanted to make me understand because a lot of times when it comes to making better eating habits, we often want to completely cut things out. And that's not healthy. Completely cutting something out is not healthy at all. You are allowed to have those things just in moderation. So instead of having coffee every single day, multiple times a day, I'm now having it once a week or when I feel like it. Sometimes I go weeks without even drinking any of the coffee in my house. But days like today, days like today, oh man, I'm like, yes, I'm having coffee today. So I'm actually on my second cup, which is still pretty hot, but I'm going to take a sip. Mm, so good. Yeah, I think I need to let it sit for a bit. It's really hot. Listen, I miss food in Europe. European food is actually good. It might not be as good as we want it to be, but honey, if you knew the scraps that we're eating out here, man, it's really really sad. It's very very sad how detrimental some of the foods we're having are. And what I liked about Europe is that there are so many standards. Like for example, in England you have the sugar tax. So there is a limit to the amount of sugar that you can gain from beverages and certain foods. Whereas over here, that doesn't exist, honey. It doesn't exist. They are pumping us with that sugar. And you know what? Sugar is the most addictive substance on this planet. There's literal research where they gave rats the option to have sugar or cocaine or heroin. I forget what the other drug was, but it was like a very detrimental drug. And the rats they were going back for the sugar. It's really sad, really. It's really sad. So it's interesting how I'm trying to take a holistic approach to my food consumption, and I'm meeting these barriers that are making it difficult for me to easily learn good eating patterns. And it's a shame because I was raised in a family that eats pretty good. Like we ate very healthy. Like we hardly ever went out. And when we did go out, it was like a treat. And so you'd go to like a proper restaurant. We never like went to McDonald's or KFC or that kind of thing. Like my mom was very heavy on like making your food at home. And as a result, we were eating pretty good. But once I left home, because I wasn't in an environment that encouraged me to continue those behaviors, I just kind of lost it. I just kind of lost the ability to eat healthily. I preferred the easy route. And so my husband and I used to eat out a lot by takeout. And you know what? The bad stuff is great. It tastes so good. And once you have a taste for it, you want more because it's very salty, it's very buttery, it's very sweet. And those are all things that your palate just yearns for. The more you have it, the more you want. And I gotta be honest, I like lost myself in it. I lost myself in it. And I think both my husband and I have been lost in that part of food, in the sense that when we eat, we think about what we enjoy rather than what's nourishing our bodies. Just something I wanted to get off my chest before we got into this week's episode. Oh, by the way, for those watching on video, I have changed my location. I think I liked where I was before, but it was very dark. I didn't get much light in that area of our flat. And so I've moved here because I get to look outside. I'm right by the window and I'm now sat by the table and I'm able to not have to hold onto the microphone the entire time, which helps me with my very animated arms. I'm also able to just to have a cup of coffee with me. So yeah, this will be the new location for the video portion. I'm sure it still sounds the same for the audio listeners, but I just wanted to address that. So today I want to talk about rage bait. And as someone who grew up on the internet, I think I am definitely chronically online. I feel like I'm part of that generation where the internet was so fun and new and like exciting and accessible. So we just explored everything. We were everywhere on the internet. And that kind of just like translated into adulthood, especially now, you know, with social media and like having mobile phones that are able to just access anything really. So for those who don't know, chronically online, the definition, according to keyhole.co, chronically online refers to those who spend a significant amount of time online to the point where their personality revolves around internet memes, culture, and slang. When it's like defined that way, it sounds really bad, but really, I think that's really it. I wouldn't say me being chronically online was a choice. I was the youngest child of a single mom, you know, and she worked a lot. My sisters were much older than me. Like my sisters are 16, 12, and 7 years older than me. So when I was like in my early teens, they were like grown. Like they were not trying to hang out with this little kid, right? So I just ended up sitting at home because at the same time, right? My mom has old girls and she's African. So she was very protective of us. And so I wasn't really allowed to like go outside. And I was totally okay with that. I honestly didn't care for it. When I moved to England, I honestly didn't care for going out to play. So I would stay at home and we had the internet. So I'll play my little games, go on MSN with my friends. Like I was okay being a homebody. And I think that's why I'm also okay with being a homebody now as an adult. Because I find comfort in that. Home is my safe space. And there are some negatives because when my anxiety is really bad and my depression is really bad, I am not able to leave my front door. To me, my world exists in this flat, and I'm totally content with that because that's what I've always had. So, you know, there are pros and cons to everything, but I feel like having spent my fair share of time on the internet, naturally, I became well versed in the insanity that is the internet, the memes, the laws, the drama, the fan fiction, the chaos, everything that's on the internet. Um, I love it. I love it. I love it. But I feel like I'm more of a consumer and I don't really participate. I guess I'm a spectator. Whereas more extremely chronically online people would be commenting and getting into fights and becoming part of fandoms and doing all of that crap. I didn't get involved. I like to be a spectator. I consume. That's it. And I feel like that was definitely something like of the generation I'm from, where there was when we were learning about the internet, you were also like told to be careful, to not share too much, to like create a boundary, don't give out too much information. Or when I did do that, there were repercussions. So it was like I knew that my position as an internet user was to just be the lurker. I think that's the best way to describe me. I lurk. I lurk. I'm in those chat rooms. I'm reading those fanfics. But I'm just lurking. I'm not liking, I'm not commenting, I'm not saving nothing, I'm not sharing nothing. I'm just scrolling by, checking it out and going, "Oh, okay. Okay." So that's where this drama has gotten to. So, in a way, I feel like that's kind of protected me in a way. And it's also allowed me to like regularly touch grass. I've been able to maintain a connection to the real world. And I also know that when it gets too much, I can step away and just go outside. Whereas extremely chronically online people don't really have that ability. All they know to do is to just be online. And I'm really proud to say that I can go a whole day without looking at my phone. And I know it probably annoys some people who are trying to connect with me or reach out to me, but listen, a phone is a phone. It's not part of me. And I need to be away from that. It's not healthy to be constantly attached to the phone. And sometimes you just need to be away. And you know what? I have to say, I'm better than everyone. I am honestly better than everyone because I have that ability to put my phone away and not touch it. I can go a whole weekend without looking at my phone. And that feeds my soul. That honestly helps me because sometimes it's just too much. Sometimes you see something and you're like, why did I just see that? Why am I experiencing this? If it wasn't for this website or this app, I would have never known about this. But now I'm seeing it and it's affecting me. And sometimes you just gotta step away. Just gotta step away. And sometimes you can also have like so many messages come in where it's just bad news. You get bad news from this person, someone texts you, it's bad news, someone calls you, it's bad news. And like you find yourself stressed out. You find yourself stressed out. And honestly, I need that. I need that space. I need that space. And because of that, I think I'm better than everyone. I'm better than everyone because I don't know who do I know who's actually, you know what, my husband is very very good at like being disconnected, but he's always been that way, and I think having become his person has also made me realize that I do sometimes need to put that phone away. I definitely was very attached to my phone before I met him, but in the 9 years, oh my gosh, in the 9 years that I just realized that's how long we've been together. But yeah, in those 9 years that we've been together, I have slowly become more detached from my phone. And I feel like it's protected me from rage bait, which is really what I want to talk about today. Rage bait, what is it? It's a form of clickbait. It's a manipulative tactic that feeds on a reader's anxieties and fears. Rage bait purposely creates negative reaction to gain attention, engagement, and money. In a way, I feel like this episode is like a PSA for, I know for some listeners, you might not be aware of what rage bait is, but let me put you on. Now you know, now you understand that rage bait is a thing that exists. And I feel like it's become so rampant on the internet. Oh my gosh. It's always existed. I think rage bait has always been on the internet. It just wasn't everywhere. And I think the key point here is gaining attention, engagements, and money. And those three things put together, I feel like are the driving force of why rage bait has just become so widely accessible, abundant. I've seen it in so many forms. It can be, I don't know, someone pronouncing something very badly. Actually, I have a really good example. There's this really viral Instagram reel. It's probably a TikTok, but I don't have TikTok, and I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit. I deleted TikTok anyway. So I saw this on Instagram, and it's a reel of like this white guy cooking something, and he goes to pronounce tzatziki, tzatziki, however you prefer to pronounce it. And he says tize tzaikai, and people went crazy. Like they went crazy on this guy. They were doing stitches. It was chaos. It was pandemonium. And I'm sure that happened across all platforms on the internet. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Like everyone was just saying, what? Teze Tazaikai? What is this? That was rage bait, guys. That was rage bait. And people bit and ran with it. And the reason why I was saying the engagement and the money are the most important thing is because now there's so much monetization. So much of the internet is monetized. Even Twitter is monetized. Yes, I call it Twitter. I'm not going to call it the other word because I've been on Twitter since 2009. Okay. I earned the right to call it Twitter. My longest relationship is my Twitter account. Oh, actually, is it? It's probably my Facebook account. Yeah, I think Facebook has a couple of years on my Twitter. But anyway, so yeah, you have these bad pronunciations, or you have like people showcasing like complete incompetency. For example, I saw some rage bait in a plant, I think it was like a plant clinic subreddit. And it was someone who like posted a picture of a monstera plant, a baby monstera plant. Like I think this thing was like 2 weeks old, like from seed, 2 weeks old. And he had like, or they, whoever the person is, they had rubber banded the little plant to a stem, and they were like, do you think my monstera plant is okay? I've put it next to a stem. And I was like, guys, please ignore this. This is rage bait. And when I read the comments, everyone was like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? You don't do that. It's too young. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, come on, guys. Come on. It's rage bait. So when you see posts like that, I hope you like take a moment, take a beat. If you find yourself like, just take a beat, breathe, put the device down, and walk away. Because something that is in the ether should not be making you have a reaction like that. I think my mom told me this. Her mom, my grandmother, God rest her soul, I never got to meet her, but she sounds like a fantastic woman. I would have loved her. I think it's my grandmother. Anyway, I think my mom told me about this. She used to say, do not let something that doesn't breathe affect you. And you know what? Girl, you were onto something. Do not let something that does not breathe affect you. And that really helps with a lot of things. Because it could even be like, you're trying to plug in your phone and it's not working. The charger is just like, and you're like, ah! Chill out. It doesn't even have a heartbeat. It doesn't even have a heartbeat. Chill out. It's okay. And so that's why I feel like I need to talk about this, because I feel like TikTok is it's the cesspool of rage bait, because it gives you engagement. And a lot of these rage bait posts have like millions of views, millions of shares, millions of comments, because people have caught the bait. And by engaging with it, you're giving them money, and then you're having a bad day over a post on the internet. It's honestly really sad. Like really, really sad. Because there are people out there who are rage farming. Like their entire online presence is to be someone who sends out all this rage bait. It always starts with something small, and they find a way to like make it snowball. And you might be upset about it, but they're probably laughing to the bank. So don't give them the money. Don't give them the time of day. This episode really is like your reminder to look out for that rage bait. Remember that there is rage bait at every corner of the internet. It's everywhere. It's literally everywhere. And when you find yourself getting upset over something on the internet, call it out. Literally, call it out. If you have to say it yourself, this is rage bait. I don't need to. Next. Just keep it moving. Keep it moving. Like, I literally laugh out loud when I see it. And I always tell my husband, I don't actually engage with it and say, oh, look at this. I just say, I just came across some rage bait, and then we like just joke about it and like talk about how silly it is that that's a thing. But don't engage with it, man. Don't engage with it. I wish more people just knew to like not. Even when you share it as like a joke, like, oh my gosh, look how silly this is. Like, even I know I've shared the Taizai Tazaikai video because I just thought it was hilarious. The fact that he did that, I shared it. But then I realized later on, I was like, oh, I've fallen for the bait. I fell for the bait too. Do not engage with it, guys. And remember, there's also an opposite to likes. Just because likes are very easy to like click, there's an opposite to that. You can like report things. You can tell the algorithm, I don't want to see things, but you just have to take a couple extra steps. The 3 dots, the 3 lines, the extra options on the thing. You can like tell your algorithm that actually, I don't want to see any more of this. And hopefully, the more you do that, the less of it you will see. And you will have a much nicer time on the internet. I feel like one thing I feel very lucky about my generation and our consumption of the internet is that we were on the internet when it was fun. Like when we were kids on the internet, it was fun. Like it was so silly. It was so like, oh, you can make things, you can make friends. Like it was so wholesome compared to what the internet is like now. And I think that wholesomeness that we grew up with, it kind of gave us a baseline of like expectation of what you get from the internet. I know, yes, there are other people in my generation who don't see the internet that way, and following generations and even older generations. But I just find it crazy that at some point we've all forgotten that this is just like a thing. It's a tool. That's it. It's a tool. And of course, she can use that tool in many different ways, but you shouldn't let that tool dictate your emotions and dictate your life. Because on the other end of the spectrum of that rage bait is relationship goals and expectations in friendships. And, you know, everything that's on the internet is there for a purpose. Like even me posting this on the internet, my podcast and the video, it's on there because I want to connect because I'm lonely and I have... No, I was about to say, and I have no friends. I do have friends. I have amazing friends who are very good at boundary setting and also like accepting my boundaries. So I know I can sometimes be overgeneralizing when I say I'm lonely, but I think it's just that I miss my friends. That's all it is. So yeah, I had to correct that one. But my point was, there is always something trying to bait you, whether it's, oh, Valentine's Day, my partner bought me a Louis Vuitton handbag and 500 roses. He loves me so much more than your partner does. Nah, not really. Love is very different for everyone. And that's why there are so many different love languages. Other people do want gifts, but other people also prefer quality time or peace. That's the hill I'm gonna die on. To me, love is peace. Just being able to be yourself around that person and not feel activated. And I think that's very important, especially as a Black woman. Whew. Child. Sometimes we just need to exist and not feel activated, because it's very easy for us to be activated, especially in non-Black spaces. We're always on. Even if we think we're not, we always are. So remember to just step away sometimes. Go outside. Or actually just talk to people in the real world. Like if there's something that's like very polarizing, take a beat and ask yourself, before I saw this post, did I feel this way? Did I care about this? And if you didn't, then by all means, hey, ignore it. Your perspective is your perspective. You don't have to do things just because other people are telling you to or expecting you to. It has to be your choice. It has to link to your core beliefs. And again, when all this fails, just step away. Put the device down. Turn it off. Go and be out in the world. Have interactions with real people. And if you really miss it, then go back to it. Because again, at the same time, the internet is supposed to be fun, right? It's supposed to be fun. And I hope that you taking the time to listen to this podcast has also brought you a little bit of fun, a little bit of chill, a little bit of zen. Because I hope that my corner of the internet is one where people come to just chill, relax, not stress. I'm not going to force anything down your mouth. No. I still want you to have autonomy. I still want you to make a decision for yourself. I will help you. I will definitely help you. But I will never tell you what to do. Thank you for choosing to hang out with me. And I hope that you stay awesome, be kind, and spread positivity.